basic tissue, that is nervous tissue. Most of the things will be discussed in the physiology, but some important things as far as histology is concerned, those things only I will discuss. Coming to the introduction of nervous tissue. The cells which are present in the nervous tissue, the main cells, we already know that nerve cells, also called neurons. If you take connective tissue, fibroblasts, epithelial tissue, epithelial cells, muscle tissue, and myocytes, like that. If you take nervous tissue, those cells are called neurons or nerve cells. These neurons are highly specialized cells. Whenever you come across term specialized, means it is specialized to perform a particular function, that is called conduction of nerve impulses. The neurons are highly specialized cells. Specialized means specialized to perform a particular function, that is conduction of nerve impulses. In other words, the conduction of the information. It may be motor information or sensory information. That is very, very important. The second important thing, whenever you come across the specialized means, almost the cell divisions over. It will not undergo any further cell division. There will not be any mitosis. After repeated mitotic divisions, the cell has become specialized. Once we call it a specialized cell, there won't be any further cell division. If those specialized cells, if they die, there will not be any further replacement. Hence, such type of cells are called permanent cells. Permanent cells means after birth, the number of cells, the cell number is fixed. There will not be any further increase in the number, or there will not be any regeneration of those cells if they get damaged. That is very, very important. There are three types of cells based on the regenerative capacity. This is very, very important. Based on regenerative capacity, three types of cells. Number one, labile cells. These labile cells continuously replaced by new cells. Example, epithelial cells. The epithelial cells are continuously replaced by the new epithelial cells. The second one is hemopoietic cells, the blood cells. After the lifespan is over, they will be replaced by new cells. This process is automatic. Such type of cells are called labile cells. The continuous replacement of the cells. Example, epithelial cells and hemopoietic cells. The second one is stable cells. Stable cells means they will not divide unless there is a demand. till that time these cells will be stable. They will not divide. They will not undergo cell division. They will not proliferate. They will not multiply. Example, parenchymal cells. The parenchymal cells are examples of stable cells. Suppose if you take a kidney, one kidney is removed. To compensate the function of that removed kidney, the normal kidney, the size will be increased by the proliferation of the cells of the kidney. If some part of the liver is removed, the other part of the liver, the size will be increased to compensate the function of whatever part is removed. These are called compensatory hypertrophies. Suppose one part of one lobe of lung is removed, other part will be enlarged. One side, if lung is removed, other lung will be enlarged. This type of enlargements are called compensatory enlargements. In this condition, the parenchyma cells multiply, increase in number to compensate the function of the part which is removed, the organ which is removed. Those cells are called stable cells. Unless there is a stimulus, they will not divide. The third variety is permanent cells. The number is fixed after birth. Whatever happens, once these cells damaged, the remaining cells will not divide. There will not be any replacement of death cells. There are two types of cells comes under this category: cardiac myocytes, cells of the cardiac muscle of the heart, and neurons. This is very, very important. Because of this, the death of the myocardium, if it occurs, example, heart attack, simply it is called myocardial infarction. The part which is damaged, it cannot be replaced by new cardiac muscle. We have to protect the healthy part. There is no replacement. If any stroke occurs in the brain, that is called brain attack. The part which is damaged cannot be replaced by new neurons or nerve cells. The rest of the part you have to protect. These two types of cells are called permanent cells. The number after birth is fixed. If they are damaged, there will not be any replacement. Because of this, there is no regenerative capacity of neurons and cardiac myocytes. The permanent cells cannot be regenerated. But that damage heals by repair. The repair and the regeneration, these are the two processes of healing. Any injury or any damage means, the meaning of injury or meaning of damage is loss of structure and loss of function. That is the meaning of damage or meaning of injury. There is a loss of structure and loss of function. Healing means to get back both the structure and the function which are lost. That is the meaning of healing. If you get back both structure and function, that is called regeneration. If you get only structure but not function, that is called repair. The shape of the organ will be maintained, but the function will be lost. Everywhere in the body, the repair is by the fibrous tissue. That process is called fibrosis, except the brain or central nervous system. This repair is not by fibrous tissue, it is by neuroglial cells, astrocytes. Hence it is called gliosis, but not fibrosis. This you have to remember. The connective tissue, supportive tissue present in the nervous system is cellular, not fibrous. Because the fibrous tissue has got a contractile nature. Once it is, suppose if it is healed by fibrous tissue, because of its contraction, surrounding normal tissue also will be damaged. To avoid that, there is no fibrous connective tissue in the nervous system. Instead of this, there is a cellular connective tissue called neuroglia or glial tissue. It heals by a repair by the gliosis. That neurons will be replaced by glial cells, mainly astrocytes. This you have to remember. Just now I told you there is a cellular supportive or connective tissue. This supportive, nutritive to the neurons. The neurons will be nourished or supported or well protected by the cellular connective tissue called neuroglia or glial tissue. All the cells of the nervous system develops from ectoderm, that is neuroectoderm, except microglia. It is a type of neuroglial cell that will be discussed in the next slide. This microglia is a type of neuroglial cell. It develops from mesoderm. This is most commonly asked question in the competitive exams. The nervous system develops from ectoderm. All the cells of nervous system develops from ectoderm, that is neuroectoderm, except microglia, which develops from mesoderm. The vessels which supplies the nerves or nervous tissue are called vasa nervorum. You know vasa vasorum, vessels supplying vessels. Here vessels supplying nerves are called vasa nervorum. Nerves supplies the vessels called nervi vasorum. And no lymphatic vessels present in the nervous tissue. Instead of lymph, there is a cerebrospinal fluid, that is the replacement for the lymph as far as present knowledge is concerned. Some recent publications telling that the lymphatic vessels also present in the brain. Still it is debatable. For the time being, there is no clear-cut evidence that the lymphatic vessels present in the brain. The function of the lymph will be performed by the cerebrospinal fluid. Coming to the cells of the nervous tissue. There are two types of cells if you take any tissue. The functional cells and the supportive cells. Supportive cells responsible mainly for the structure. The shape of the organ, any organ, will be maintained by the supportive cells, supportive tissue or connective tissue or stroma. These three terms are synonymously used. Supportive tissue, connective tissue or stroma. These functional cells, any organ, one is structure, other one is function. that you have to remember. The structure and the function. The functional cells responsible for the function of that organ. Those cells are called nerve cells or neurons. Its function is conduction of nerve impulses. And supportive cells, these cells will maintain the shape of the organ. They are called neuroglial cells or glial cells. That means in the nervous system, the supportive tissue is not fibrous tissue. It is a cellular tissue that you have to remember. There is no fibrous tissue in the nervous system like collagen fibers, elastic fibers, and reticular fibers. You will find cellular connective tissue in the nervous tissue that is called neuroglia or glial tissue. Those cells are called neuroglial cells or glial cells. The connective tissue is cellular but not fibrous. Once again, you have to remember this. If it is fibrous tissue, heals by fibrosis. Fibrous tissue has got contractile in nature. The surrounding tissue also will be pulled and destroyed by this fibrosis. Hence, it heals by a repair by the gliosis. Gliosis means proliferation of these glial cells replaces the damaged tissue and maintains the shape. In this picture, you can see the neurons and neuroglial cells, functional cells and supporting cells. These yellow color cells are neurons and other cells are neuroglial cells. This green color star-shaped cells are astrocytes. This blue color cells are oligodendrocytes, and this brown color cells are microglia. Ependymal cells are missing in this picture, but for the time being, at least neurons, these are the functional cells, astrocytes, oligodendrocytes, and microglia, plus ependymal cells are neuroglial cells. The structure of neurons. There are two parts in the neuron, the cell body, also called soma, also called perikaryon, and cell processes, also called neurites. These are the two main parts of neuron. Cell body or soma or perikaryon, cell processes and neurites. The cell process are two types. Short process are called dendrites. Only one long process, that is called axons. If you take other neurons altogether, this long process are called axons, nothing but nerve fiber. Once again, I am telling you, axon or nerve fiber, both are same. That you have to keep in mind. Nerve fiber is nothing but axon. In this picture, you can see this is the picture of neuron. This is the cell body, also called soma. Mainly, you can see the nucleus. And cell processes, the number of short processes. The branched short processes are called dendrites. Dendrites means branching of the tree. And a single long process is called axon. The neurite cell processes two types, dendrites and axon. And this is the cell body of the neuron. Coming to the cell body. Actually, here the general features of the cell will not be discussed. The common features of the cell, common to all other cells, I am not mentioning. Those things you can read from the textbook, because some general features, the nucleus and all other things, cell organelles, those things are common but some special features only discussing here. The Nissl substance or Nissl body, it is nothing but a rough endoplasmic reticulum. The Nissl bodies or Nissl substance which is present in the cytoplasm of the cell body of the neuron, which is nothing but a rough endoplasmic reticulum. Whenever any cell which is rich in rough endoplasmic reticulum, that cell is mainly responsible for the synthesis of proteins. Here, the neurotransmitters, which are protein in nature, will be synthesized by this rough endoplasmic reticulum. It is called Nissl substance or Nissl bodies. The neurofibrils, the microtubules and microfilaments, these are the cytoskeletal elements of the cell. They are mainly responsible to maintain the shape of the neurons. And not all, some cells you will have pigment granules, neuromelanin pigment and lipofuscin pigment. This lipofuscin pigment is an age-related pigment. In the aged cells, you will find this type of pigment. But neuromelanin, this melanin pigment will be present in some cells. Substantia nigra, it is a part of midbrain. The black color substance, it is because of neurons filled with melanin pigment. That is a different story. But some neurons, there will be a pigment, that melanin pigment, that is called neuromelanin. The rest of the features rest similar to the other cells. Those things I am not mentioning here. You can read and you can understand. And in this picture, this is the neuron. This is only cell body. These are the short process dendrites. This is axon. This blue color one is nucleus and the nucleolus. There is a Golgi apparatus, rough endoplasmic reticulum, ribosomes, and microfilaments, and microtubules, and cell body. All these things can be seen in this picture. Here you can see this Nissl substance mainly for the. Another interesting things, the collection of cell bodies within the central nervous system, that is in the brain and spinal cord, called nuclei or gray matter. The gray matter and white matter, these are the two terms you will come across in the central nervous system. The brain and spinal cord, there you will come across white matter and gray matter. This gray matter is nothing but a collection of cell bodies of the neurons within the central nervous system. Whenever you come across that gray matter, you have to recollect that all the cell bodies are gathered in the gray matter. The collection of cell bodies within the peripheral nervous system or outside the central nervous system, they are called ganglia. Ganglia always present in the peripheral nervous system, outside the central nervous system. It may be sensory ganglia. Suppose cranial nerves also associated with ganglia, spinal nerves also associated with ganglia, those cranial ganglia or spinal ganglia, autonomic nervous system also associated with ganglia, that is sympathetic ganglia, parasympathetic ganglia, all are present in relation to the peripheral nerves, the 12 pairs of cranial nerves and 31 pairs of spinal nerves, and also autonomic nervous system. This ganglia nothing but is a collection of cell bodies of the neurons present outside the central nervous system. That nuclei means here this is also collection of cell bodies within the central nervous system, that is called nuclei. There are number of nuclei present in the brain, caudate nuclei, lentiform nuclei, those things will be discussed in the nervous system. The gray matter is a sheet of tissue, but nuclei means a localized collections are called nuclei. Whatever it is, whenever you come across nucleus or gray matter, simply it is a collection of cell bodies within the central nervous system. If you take the peripheral nervous system, those collections of cell bodies are called ganglia. This is the cut section of the brain. You can see thalamus is a thalamic nuclei, caudate nuclei, putamen nuclei. The number of nuclei. These things will be discussed while discussing about the central nervous system. This outside, this dark brown color is the gray matter. It is the layer, the outer surface of the brain. This is gray matter. In the center, these collections are called nuclei. Whatever it is, they are represented by cell bodies of the neuron. In this picture, this is the cut section of spinal cord. These are the ganglia associated with the dorsal root of spinal nerve, dorsal root ganglia. These are the sympathetic trunks. These longitudinal ones are sympathetic trunks associated with ganglia. These are called sympathetic ganglia. Coming to the cell processes, also called neurites. Short processes are called dendrites. Long processes are called axons or nerve fibers. Once again, I repeat, axon is nothing but nerve fiber. In this picture, you can see the number of short process dendrites, only one long process, that is axon. Coming to the cell processes or neurons, the collection of axons in the central nervous system is called white matter. In the white matter is nothing but collection of axons. The most of the axons within the central nervous system are myelinated. That myelination gives them white color. The axons becomes white in color because of myelination. Hence, this area is called white matter. This localized collections, nerve tracts. Whenever you come across the term tract, corticospinal tract, spinothalamic tract, the tract means it is only collection of axons. Lemniscus, some areas you will have a ribbon-shaped tracts. Those ribbon-shaped tracts are called lemniscus. It is also collection of axons. Example, spinal lemniscus, lateral lemniscus, trigeminal lemniscus. These things will be discussed while discussing about CNS. And peduncles. This peduncle is the largest collection of axons. Peduncle means it is also a collection of axons, but depending upon the size, tracts, then lemniscus, then peduncles. Cerebral peduncle. If you take cerebellum, attached to the brainstem by means of 3 pairs of peduncles, superior cerebellar peduncle, middle cerebellar peduncle, inferior cerebellar peduncle. Whenever you come across white matter, nerve tracts, lemniscus or peduncles, you have to think that these are all collections of axons, all are myelinated, hence they appear white in color, hence that matter is called white matter. Collection of axons in the peripheral nervous system or outside the central nervous system are called peripheral nerves. In the upper limb, the peripheral nerves you come across, you have already seen, those are all branches of brachial plexus. It may be a dorsal scapular nerve or suprascapular nerve or nerve to subclavius or long thoracic nerve, median nerve, ulnar nerve, radial nerve or musculocutaneous nerve, axillary nerve. These are all peripheral nerves. That means these are all collections of axons. The peripheral nerves are nothing but collections of axons. The 12 pairs of cranial nerves, 31 pairs of spinal nerves. Total 43 pairs of peripheral nerves. These are all nothing but collections of axons. The cell bodies of these nerves will be present in the spinal cord. That you have to remember. The gray matter of spinal cord consisting of cell bodies of all these nerves. The axons will come out in the form of spinal nerves. Those spinal nerves, C5 to T1 will form the brachial plexus. From the brachial plexus, number of peripheral nerves arise. Those are all the branches of brachial plexus just now I have mentioned. The types of neurons based on number of cell processes, based on presence or absence of myelin sheath, based on length of axon, based on function of neuron. Coming to the types of neurons based on number of cell processes. Unipolar. That neuron gives rise to only one cell process. Immediately it divides into two processes. One process enters into the central nervous system. Another process enters into the peripheral nerves. That is called peripheral process and central process. Such a type of neurons are called unipolar neurons. That means only one process immediately divides into two processes. One represents central process, other represents peripheral process. Example, the general sensory neurons of cranial ganglia. The unipolar neurons will be present in the general sensory neurons which are present in the cranial ganglia. The ganglia associated with the cranial nerves. Those ganglia consisting of unipolar neurons. These are mainly responsible for general sensations. The sensory neurons will carry general sensations like touch, pain, pressure, temperature. The pseudo-unipolar neurons. The pseudo-unipolar, pseudo means false. It looks like unipolar neurons, but they are not unipolar. That I will show in the diagram. The pseudo-unipolar neurons also sensory neurons, general sensory neuron. The spinal ganglia or dorsal root ganglia or ganglia associated with spinal nerves, usually consisting of pseudo-unipolar neurons. Same, touch, pain, pressure, temperature. The bipolar neurons. It has got two cell processes. One represents dendrite, other represents axons. These are also sensory neurons, but not general. It's a special sensory neurons. The bipolar cells of retina. Retina for sense of sight. Special senses are for sight, taste, smell, and hearing and balance. The olfactory neurons which are present in the nasal cavity. Nasal cavity has got nasal septum and a lateral wall. The upper one-third of the lateral wall and nasal septum, that respiratory epithelium is specialized to perform sense of smell, that is called olfactory epithelium. Olfactory epithelium is present in the upper one-third of both nasal septum and lateral wall. This olfactory epithelium consisting of olfactory neurons, these are also bipolar. But unipolar, pseudo-unipolar, bipolar, all are sensory neurons. This is very, very important. Unipolar, pseudo-unipolar, general sensory neurons, touch, pain, pressure, temperature. Bipolar neurons, special sensory neurons. Coming to the multipolar, only motor neurons for the time being. At least you remember this multipolar neurons. Usually they are motor neurons in the autonomic nervous system. These postganglionic neurons present in the sympathetic and parasympathetic ganglia. The sympathetic parasympathetic ganglia are motor ganglia. Those neurons also motor neurons comes under multipolar type. Number of processes will be present. All short processes is represented by the dendrites, only one long process, that is axon. If you take somatic nervous system, pyramidal cells of cerebrum, Purkinje cells of cerebellum, anterior horn cells of spinal cord, these represents multipolar neurons in the somatic nervous system. Pyramidal cells of cerebrum, they are triangular in shape. Purkinje cells, Purkinje means flask-shaped. And anterior horn cells of spinal cord, the gray matter in the spinal cord present in the form of anterior horn, posterior horn. Anterior horn motor neurons, posterior horn sensory neurons. In this picture, you can see the unipolar neuron, only one process further divides into dendrites and axon. Here also only one process, but immediately divides into two. It is dendrite and it is axon. It also looks like unipolar, but the process soon after it comes from the neuron, it divides, hence it is pseudo-unipolar. Here you can see the single process, hence it is unipolar. The two processes here, one process is represented by dendrites, other process represented by axon, this is bipolar. Here the number of processes, all short processes represented by dendrites, only single process that is represented by axon. Multipolar neurons, bipolar neurons, pseudo-unipolar and unipolar. Presence or absence of myelin sheath. There are two types of neurons or nerve fibers. Both are synonymously used. Myelinated nerve fibers are myelinated neurons. Unmyelinated nerve fibers are unmyelinated neurons. Only two examples I have mentioned here. The upper motor neurons of somatic nervous system. Upper motor neuron present in the brain and spinal cord. They are myelinated. And the postganglionic nerve fibers of autonomic nervous system. It may be postganglionic sympathetic fibers, for example. They are unmyelinated. Myelinated nerve fiber is white in color. Unmyelinated is gray in color. That you have to remember. Coming to the myelin sheath. In the central nervous system, the axons, nothing but nerve fibers myelinated by oligodendrocytes. Oligodendrocyte is a type of neuroglial cell. It is responsible for the myelination of axons within the central nervous system. One cell myelinates several axons. that you have to keep in your mind. In the peripheral nervous system, axons myelinated by Schwann cells. Schwann cells are also neuroglial cells of peripheral nervous system. They myelinate nerve fibers or peripheral nerves in the peripheral nervous system. Here, one cell myelinates one axon. Here, one cell myelinates several axons. That is the difference between myelination by oligodendrocytes and by Schwann cells. Here you can see this is the oligodendrocyte, single cell myelinates. Here the axon of one neuron, here the axon of another neuron. That means this blue color cell is oligodendrocyte, single cell myelinates several axons or several neurons. Coming to the myelin sheath formed by the Schwann cells. The several layers of Schwann cell membrane. The Schwann cell membrane, it surrounds the axon in the form of number of layers. But all the layers of cell membrane of the Schwann cell is filled with lipids. Hence it is called myelin sheath. The most important content of myelin sheath is fat that you have to keep in your mind. The several layers of cell membrane of the Schwann cell, all these layers filled with lipids. Because of this, the major content of myelin sheath is fat. The purpose of myelin sheath to increase the velocity of conduction, the fast conduction of nerve impulses. Because of this myelin sheath. The myelin sheath gives white color of the nerve fibers. Hence, in the central nervous system, brain and spinal cord, these axons gives white color. Hence, it is called white matter. Outside the myelin sheath, you will have neurolemma, a thin layer of Schwann cell cytoplasm. Finally, outside the myelin sheath, you will have another covering called neurolemma, thin layer of Schwann cell cytoplasm. If you take central nervous system, this neurolemma is absent in the axons of CNS because one oligodendrocyte forms a myelination of several axons. Because of this neurolemma, the thin layer of Schwann cell cytoplasm is absent in the axons of CNS. Because of this, no regeneration of axons. If axons are damaged in the peripheral nervous system, there will be regeneration of axons. If cell body is damaged, there will not be any regeneration. If axon is damaged, regeneration takes place in the peripheral nervous system. But in the central nervous system, if axons are damaged, there will not be any regeneration because of lack of neurolemma. In this picture, you can see this is the cell body, dendrites, this is the axon, this is the blue color segments represents myelin sheath. There are gaps between the myelin sheath, they are called nodes of Ranvier. Because of jumping of these nodes of Ranvier, conduction of nerve impulses will be passed. Here you can see the invagination starts here. This is the axon, this is the Schwann cell. One rotation here. After that, the cell membrane, it binds around the axon several times. Here you can see number of layers of cell membrane of Schwann cell. It is filled with fat. The myelin sheath. This one is neurolemma, last one. Here also you can see this is the axon. surrounded by multiple layers of cell membrane of squamous cell, that is myelin sheath filled with fat. This is the neurolemma represented by squamous cell cytoplasm. This is the nodes of Ranvier. This is myelinated neurofiber. This is unmyelinated neurofiber. In this case, one squamous cell is invaginated by number of axons. Here, the covering will be present, squamous cell covering, but no myelination. This is unmyelinated. One squamous cell invaginated by number of axons. Here, one squamous cell surrounds the one axon. The myelin sheath nodes of Ranvier short gap between two segments of myelin sheath. Saltatory conduction, this is responsible for the fast conduction of nerve impulses. The most of the things you can read from your physiology, only important things I will mention here. Based on the length of the axon, the Golgi type 1 and Golgi type 2 neurons. If the axon is short, the Golgi type 1 neurons. This Golgi type 1 neurons to connect the remote areas. Suppose the cerebrum or cerebral cortex will be connected to the spinal cord by means of pyramidal tract coming from the pyramidal cells of the cerebral cortex. The pyramidal cells which are present in the cerebral cortex, the cell body is confined to the gray matter, but axons leaves the cerebrum and passing through the brainstem finally enters into the spinal cord. The remote areas will be connected by long axons. Those are called Golgi type 1 axons. Golgi type 2 axons, also called interneurons. They are confined to the cerebral cortex and cerebellar cortex. They won't leave the cerebral cortex and cerebellar cortex. They will be confined to the cerebral and cerebellar cortex. That close areas will be connected by interneurons. Suppose the motor neurons and sensory neurons for the time being will be connected with one another by means of this interneurons. They are called short axons. Golgi type 2 neurons. Here Golgi type 1. Here Golgi type 2, long axon, short axon. Based on the function of neurons, two types, motor neurons and sensory neurons. Motor information will be carried by motor neurons, sensory information carried by the sensory neurons. The motor neurons is almost like arteries. Arteries will carry blood from the heart to the peripheral parts of the body. The motor neurons will carry information from the central nervous system to the peripheral parts of the body. Mainly, suppose if you take skeletal muscles, the sensory neurons like veins, they will carry blood from the peripheral parts to the central part, that is heart. The sensory neurons carry the sensory information from the peripheral part of the body to the central nervous system, that is brain and spinal cord. Mostly sensory neurons means they will carry sensations. Example from the skin, touch, pain, pressure, temperature, to the central nervous system, brain and spinal cord. Motor neurons, they will carry the motor information from the brain and spinal cord to the skeletal muscles. If you take upper limb, these are the two types of neurons based on their functions. If you take motor neurons, there are two types. Visceromotor neurons. If you take autonomic nervous system, it is also called visceral nervous system. There you will have a motor neurons. They are called pre and post ganglionic neurons. The pre and post ganglionic neurons of autonomic nervous system are examples of motor neurons. They will carry motor information to the visceromotor, means visceral organs like cardiac muscle, smooth muscle, and glands. These are the organs supplied by visceromotor neuron. These are the organs not under our control. They are controlled by autonomic nervous system. The pre and post ganglionic neurons of both sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system comes under motor neurons. Somatomotor, somatic nervous system, upper motor neurons and lower motor neurons. Finally, they will supply the skeletal muscles. They will supply mainly skeletal muscles. Those are also comes under motor neurons. Two types, visceromotor and somatomotor. Sensory neurons, again two types, viscerosensory and somatosensory. Here there is no clear-cut difference between autonomic nervous system and somatic nervous system. These are common for all. Sometimes these neurons, first order neurons, second order neurons, third order neurons, fourth order neurons will be present. Some neurons, sensory neurons, having only one order. That means only one sensory neuron will be present. It has got a central process and peripheral process. Central process towards the central nervous system, peripheral process enters through the peripheral nerve from the receptor organs like skin. Sometimes you have two neurons in the sensory pathway, two order neurons. Suppose olfactory pathway, if you take two order neurons, most of the neurons are three order neurons. That means you will have relay stations. Three relay stations will be there. Suppose fourth order neurons, if you take auditory pathway, that is four order neurons, it is interrupted by neurons or the relay stations. Four times it is interrupted. That is called four order neurons. If it is interrupted three times, three order neurons, two times two order neurons, only one first order neurons. It is depending upon, it is not constant. Some neurons are one order, some are two, some are three, some are four is auditory pathway, two is olfactory pathway. Most of the sensory pathways are third order neurons. But these neurons are common for both viscerosensory and somatosensory. There is no clear-cut demarcation. In this picture, you can see this green color coming from the skin, receptors present in the skin and enters into the spinal nerve through the dorsal root and central nervous system. This is sensory neuron. And from the spinal cord to the ventral root and through the spinal nerve to the skeletal muscle, this is motor neuron. Based on their function, they are named as, these two are connected by interneurons, the relay neuron. This interneuron connects a sensory neuron and motor neuron. The short neurons, the axons are short, they represent Golgi type 2 neurons. This long axons, Golgi type 1. Coming to the supportive cells, the supportive cells are nothing but neuroglia. If all other parts of the body, the supportive tissue is fibrous tissue, except nervous tissue and thymus. In the thymus also, the supporting cells or reticular epithelial cells, they will form muscle corpuscles But the capsule of the thymus, connective tissue septa of the thymus is made up of collagen fibers and some elastic fibers. But only the lymphocytes will be supported by reticular epithelial cells. The cellular supporting tissue present in the thymus, lobule of the thymus. But capsule and connective tissue septa mainly made up of fibers. Those reticular epithelial cells, they will form blood thymic barrier. They prevents this developing lymphocytes to come in contact with antigens present in the blood. That is the main purpose of that reticular epithelial cells. Because of those cells, the T lymphocytes become competent. The another area is nervous tissue. There also there is no fibrous connective tissue, the cellular connective tissue. That is called neuroglia or glial tissue. Heals by gliosis, not by fibrosis. In the next class, I will discuss about this supportive cells of the nervous system. Thank you.
Sir,
Hello, Pepama.
sir, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
సార్ డయాగ్రామ్స్ వేయడానికి రికార్డులు ఏమన్నా చెప్తారా సార్? అన్నీ ఒకేసారి అంటే మళ్ళీ బర్డెన్ అయిపోతుంది.
గ్రాసస్ మైట్ ఇది హిస్టాలజీయా?
హిస్టాలజీ.
సరే అమ్మా, నేను ఒకసారి టెక్స్ట్ బుక్ పేజ్ నెంబర్లో చూసి నెక్స్ట్ క్లాస్ లో నేను మీకు లాస్ట్ లో క్లాస్ అయిపోయాక డిస్ప్లే చేస్తాను. సరేనా?
ఓకే సార్, థ్యాంక్ యూ.
ఓకే అండి. ఓకే.